Okay, 23 tells me r equals 2 cosine of theta minus 6 sine of theta. I want an r in here so I can have an x, so I'm going to multiply everything by r. R squared equals 2r cosine of theta minus 6r sine of theta, which means r squared equals 2x minus 6y. R squared is the same thing as x squared plus y squared. So, and the reason for that is this distance right here is a triangle that says a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So that's why r squared equals x squared plus y squared. I'm going to bring this over, so x squared minus 2x plus y squared minus 6y equals 0. I need to get this in, I need to do completing the square. So I'm going to go x squared minus 2x plus 1, which that's this number divided by 2 squared, plus y squared minus 6y plus 9 equals, I added 1 and I added 9, so it equals 10. Now I can put it as x minus 1 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 10. So now it's in the right format. Next problem tells me, it was 23. 25 tells me r equals 5 cotangent of theta cosecant of theta. Isn't that the same problem I just did? No, it's a 5 instead of a 2. I'm not going to do this one. It's just like 21. 27 tells me r equals 5 tangent of theta secant of theta. So I'm going to go r equals 5 cosine of theta over sine of theta. No, that's upside down. My apologies. R equals 5 sine of theta over cosine of theta times secant is 1 over the cosine of theta. So I have r equals 5 sine of theta over cosine squared of theta multiplied by cosine squared. R cosine squared of theta equals 5 sine of theta. I'm going to multiply by an r, so I have an r here. So I'm going to get r squared and r. So that's going to be r cosine of theta squared equals 5r sine of theta. This is x, so x squared equals 5. This is y. So I'm going to divide by 5. So y equals x squared over 5. 29. 29 gives me r equals negative 6 sine of theta. Multiply both by r. R squared equals negative 6 r sine of theta. X squared plus y squared, because that's what r squared equals negative 6y, because that's r sine of theta. X squared plus y squared minus 6y. Divide this by 2, negative 3, square it, 9, equals, I brought that over, oh, so it should be positive. I brought that over, and then it was equal 0, and I added 9, so I equal 9 over here. So x squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 9. Okay, now the hard stuff. 31. Consider each polar equation over the given interval. Classify the curve, which means tell me what kind. Determine if the graph is symmetric with respect to the origin, the polar axis, and the line pi equals theta equals pi over 2. the origin should just be the pole, not the origin. Find the values of theta where r is 0. Find the maximum value, absolute value of r, and the values of theta where this occurs, and then sketch the graph. Okay, so we have r equals 4 minus 2 cosine of theta, where 0 is less than or equal to theta is less than 2 pi. This is just telling me where it happens. So I know it's going to repeat after that, but I don't have to do it anymore. So that's what it's telling me. So I'm going to look at this and I'm going to say which one of my different shapes is that in the form of. So that's going to be in the form of a limicon. So it's going to be a limicon. My A is going to be 4 and my B is going to be -2. So I'm going to look at that. I'm going to say A over B is 4 over -2, which is -2, which is less than 1. So, it should be absolute value of that. Absolute value of that is less than 1. No. Absolute value of that equals 2. When I taught you this, I didn't say absolute value, so I apologize. This should be the absolute value. So that equals 2, which means it's no dimple and no inner loop. So now I'm going to do a table. I know it's going to look something like one of these guys, but I don't know which direction and stuff like that. Symmetry first. So symmetry is theta equal to negative theta. So r equals 4 -2 cosine of negative theta. Cosine of negative theta is just cosine of theta. So yeah, it does have symmetry over the polar axis. Now I'm going to try it over the pole where r equals -r. So -r equals 4 minus 2 cosine of theta, which means r equals -4 plus 2 cosine of theta. That is not the same, so it's not over the pole. I'm going to try both of them negative. So -r equals 4 minus 2 cosine of negative theta, which means it's going to be r equals -4 plus 2 cosine of theta. So that is not going to work either. So no symmetry over the theta equals pi over 2. So now graphing it, got to make my table. Theta and r. So 0, pi over 6, pi over 3, pi over 2, 2 pi over 3, 5 pi over 6, pi, 7 pi over 6, 4 pi over 3, 3 pi over 2. Gosh, this takes a while. 5 pi over 3, 11 pi over 6, and then 2 pi, which is going to be the same. So I'm not going to do that. Okay, so where's my equation? Here it is. So at 0, cosine, here it is. Cosine is 1, so 2 times 1 is 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. Pi over 6 is the square root of 3 over 2 times 2 is the square root of 3, so it's 4 minus the square root of 3. Pi over 3 is 1/2 times that, so it's going to be 3. Pi over 2 is 0, so it's going to be 4. Pi over 3 is going to be 1/2, so 3 again. 5 pi over 6 is going to be square root of 3 over 2 times 2 square root of 3, 4 minus the square root of 3. Pi is going to be negative. Oh, these should have been negative. Ooh, very interesting. This should have been -5. This should have been, that one's okay. This should have been -4 minus the square root of 3. Pi is -1 times 2, so that's going to be 5. Oh, did I do it wrong? God bless, Latimer, you're dumber than a box of rocks. Okay, going back here. This is negative 1/2. So plus 1, so that's positive 5. Yes? Yes. This is square root of 3, so this is 4 plus the square root of 3. This is negative 1/2, so plus 1 is 5. This is 7 pi over 6 is negative square root of 3 over 2. Times that is going to be positive, so it's 4 plus the square root of 3. This is... Wait, did I go wrong? This is negative 1/2, so 5. Wait, is that right? 4 pi over 3. Where is 4 pi over 3? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's still negative. 3 pi over 2 is 0, so it's going to be 4. This is going to be 1/2, so it's going to be 3. This is going to be square root of 3 over 2, square root of 3, 4 minus the square root of 3. So now graphing it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a little bit more for the 4 plus the square root of 3. So 0, 2 is right here. That's going to be about 2.3, I'm going to say. 2.3. That's going to be 3. That's going to be 4. That's going to be, where am I? 2 square roots of 3 and 5. It's going to be about 5.6 maybe, 5 point something, 5.4. 5.4. Boom, bah. That's going to be 5. That's going to be 4 square roots of 4 plus the square roots of 3. That's going to be the same location, but right here. That's going to be 5 again at 4 pi over 3. It's going to be 4 again. It's going to be 3. That's going to be right here-ish. So I have something that looks like that. So not too horrible. Oh my god, this video is long.